Greetings all, Ben here, East West. Going to take our little weekly jump into uranium and game of two halves, as we say in the classics, wasn't it? It was a pretty good looking rally that ran into a little bit of trouble on Thursday, as the entire market did. So let's jump in, see where we're at. Things have progressed and opened up a little bit more. So obviously we've broken away from those ranges we were looking at, which is kind of exciting, and it looked pretty good until Thursday's little banana peel. So let's jump in and have a look at a couple of these names, see what we can see. So look, URA, I mean, we can see what's happened here, right? We had this extremely good looking run that we broke out of all our range that we've been looking at, and then bang, we hit Thursday, and Houston, we had a problem. So what does all this mean? Well, I would go back to what we have been looking at for the past few weeks. It's probably not as prevalent here, but let's do a little bit of review. So just looking at we were looking at this sort of Wyckoff stuff, not to like predict the market or what was going on, just more to sort of map it out. Now, and this is what I only doing this just to get at what I'd penciled in, stating the fact that it was certainly not going to happen the way that I anticipated or envisaged it would. But you can sort of see here, right? So if I just move that out, this is what I just penciled in. I haven't moved anything, but this kind of became a last point of supply. We kind of got this show of strength here as we came through the top. Just hang on one sec. I'll just clean this up a little bit. There. So we sort of kind of got this sort of show of strength through here, and then this became like another last point of supply, and then we broke away, and everything was looking pretty damn rosy until we sort of hit Thursday's little bit of whoopsie-doo late in the day. So, look, I think the point here is that, yes, this isn't perfect. I wouldn't be using this to predict what's going to go on. I'd just be using it to map out. I think the main thing, look, you know what? I'm even going to get rid of this now because it's done its job. It's in the rear vision mirror. It's just a little bit of a look back just to see how it played out in real time. It's really just nothing more than a way of looking at the range to see what's going on. And what we want to do is we want to see a range established, even though this one, I wouldn't have said this one's wasn't ideal, because I would have liked to have seen, ideally I would have liked to have seen something more like this, where it would have down up, where that range was very well established. Then you get the little spring, the fail breakdown. That's really what we're looking for when we're looking at the ranges. We're either looking for the fail breakdown that then rallies away like this one did, or, of course, on the other side, we are looking for the failed attempt to break up, and then the failure down. That's really all we're looking for. The only thing the Wyckoff thing does is just let us put fancy labels on it to just sort of show what stage we think we're at. But we did get this little failure here, but it's not very concrete. But what was good, and what we'd been pointed out, and I was talking about with Chris, is then what we got here was the nice progressive swing structure that came up, went through the top of the range, tested it, and went on. So that is kind of that was the sign. So that played out very well, and then we broke above this trend channel. The other thing that I liked is that from the top back to the bottom, we defeated the retracement zone. Also a pretty good sign for me that we can go on a little bit further. So look, it's pretty obvious at this point, right, that the market, well, look, there's only three things the market can do, right? It can go up, it can go down, or it'll go sideways. That's it. Okay, so look, what I've been hanging on, and I still don't see anything to make me think that it's not the case, is this is the range that we're just going to get a range expansion move, which we're in the process of just fiddling about doing. So this is what I've sort of been preaching, that this sort of thing will just repeat, but on the top side, before we get basically another one of these like that, and then we will get the bigger move out of this overall range. Now, why do I think that? Well, the main reason is that the way I'm looking at the market at the moment is that I don't think that this little bit, I don't think that's enough time to correct this. Okay, I think it needs to spend more time digesting the rally. So just when I look at, I've taken this basically off the bottom here. So this is kind of where I think the rally started, and this is the length of time that it took for this rally to unfold. And you know, this line here, which is July, would represent half the amount of time. So we're not even, you know, we're not very far into the correction as it sits here. I just think we just need a bit more time to go by. So that's why I could be wrong, of course. I don't think we're going to just explode away like this just yet. But that remains the rationale of my thinking, okay? And this is just what I think will happen. But of course, the other two things that could happen, I think this is your main danger that you get, and that would make the big three-wave swing. But I just, like I said, I still just don't favour that, because I just don't think that a lot of the fundamental story that's out there lines up with a big fall like this, even though it can never be ruled out, because the market will just do what the market does. And I mean, Thursday was a warning shot, right? Thursday was a warning shot that it doesn't matter how good the fundamentals are, if something goes wrong somewhere else in the world, every stock will get hammered, okay? Uranium's no different. It doesn't matter if there's 1 gram of uranium left at 100 million nuclear power plants that want it. If something goes wrong, the stock will get hammered, okay? That just cannot be ignored, okay? So that's why this can never be ruled out, even though, of course, as we all sit here and now, we're not anticipating that is what will happen. And of course, the much more bullish scenario would be that we're done and we're on the way. Okay, that's it. This was the correction, and now the rally's going to resume. More likely than the deeper pullback. But like I said, for the reasons I'm just saying, I just don't think that there's been enough time go by to allow price to do this, even though I think this is what will happen into the future. But anyway, let's just put all that aside and just look at what's happening. So, look, I just think, you know, we've had this nice retracement, and then we've had this nice extended rally, and this rally has extended how far? Pretty nicely into the second most common place for a wave 3 extension. So as it sits, what does it look like to me? Well, I think you got a pretty good case in the short term for let's see, 1, 2, without doing all the work in between. I haven't done that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. A 5-wave move up, and then where would that take us in the general context of what I'm looking at? Well, then I'm looking at this range being expanded, taking us back up towards the top. 5 waves up. What would I expect then? Maybe a 3-wave correction. Where would the 3-wave correction take us? I would probably suggest somewhere, if it came back like that. See how that all lines up? But just that kind of thing. And then all of a sudden, you know, we get a bit more of it, you know. I wouldn't put this Elliott progression into the overall picture just yet, okay? Because whatever this is corrective, and it's shit, and you won't really know what's going on with it until price has well and truly moved off into the future. But so that's why, you know, doing the Elliott progressions within this what I believe is going to be an extended correction, it's a little bit. Personally, I'm not going to bother doing it. It's kind of like when we go back and look at when we were trying to work out whatever the hell all this was. Okay, it was a bloody disaster. It was all right through here. This was a disaster. It took time to work it out, and it wasn't until you're well and truly through it that you can start to go, okay, then now we can. And I don't know if I can't put it together properly. So anyway, look, that is just where we sit. Okay, so I would think that we're going to be able to push back up and just get back up to the top to test this, but I'm not anticipating the explosion. Right, CCJ, ripping, right? Pumping. Little bit, here's my concern. These are just pretty standard Kelton channels, but we've got a couple of free bars, okay? When you got bars that are running free outside the Kelton channel, it's usually a pretty good warning shot We had it here that the market just needs to cool its jets a little bit because it's got a little bit ahead of itself, which I think we could safely say that this has been a damn strong move. And you know what? Even Thursday didn't really knock it out of its stride. It just cooled it, but it didn't really detonate it. So it's good signs here. So once again, a quick review. I mean, remember this one didn't work out quite the same way because we had this attempted move up, and then all of a sudden this could have been a distribution event rather than an accumulation. But I think we can sort of safely say that at this stage, this range that it was in became the accumulation. It had a nice spring here, a bit of a test, and then of course, as with everything else, we have just trended away really, really well. We've broken out of the range, and so my stance on this remains exactly the same as everything else, that we're going to come up here and test the top, which we kind of already have, but you know, we looked at those free bars on the Kelton channel. Look, we're hot for sure. There's no doubt we're hot. We probably need to come back a little bit and cool the jets, but what does that mean? Right? Simple range expansion. Yeah, it's not perfect. Of course, it's not. Nothing's perfect. I mean, I'm not saying that this is going to 100% replicate this, okay? But it's just the general idea. I mean, this could double and go through the tops that we were looking at here, but the fact that we've just got here and shied away, what would I think? Looking at all this and how hot it's run, what would I think? Well, for me, I just it's pretty simple stuff, right? I'd just be looking at that, going, okay, well look, here's the new range we've kind of set, right? And I would probably be let's just take this one off, okay? So I'm lining up the bottom of this on the top of that. I'd just be looking at that, and then I'd just be thinking the market might come back eventually. I'm not saying it's going to go. It might do this. Okay, I don't know what it's going to do. Maybe it does like that. I mean, this is just a carbon copy of this, but maybe it does like that. Okay, and then if I saw that, especially with this, well, they'll be thinking, okay, well, this one looks a bit toast. I think now we might come back down, same thing, and just repeat this down here before we go again. That's just my general expectation. I don't know. Maybe I'm completely wrong. Happens all the time, and this is just going to go. Could do. Not anticipating it. But look, I don't think I need to go over this anymore because this is just the same thing, okay? We've got a very, very steep run, which I would suspect is in danger of needing at least to correct, if not a little bit more like that. That is just how I would look at that. Or whether or not you can put 5 ways. I think the problem with this one, from my view at the moment, is if you were trying to put this into 5 ways, well, this looks like 1, 2, 3. It doesn't look complete. I'd expect 4 and then 5, and maybe 5 breaks the top. I don't know, but I think either way you dice it, to me, it looks impulsive. 1, 2, 3. So I would think that there's a good chance there's a little bit more topside, but I don't think it's going to do that. That's just where I sit with CCJ this week. Let's just quickly finish off here with NXE, which Chris and I were looking at last week, and this one didn't really do that sort of range play that a lot of the other ones did, and it never really corrected its rally. It just wedged, as we sort of saw, and then what do we get after a wedge? The big explosion up. Okay, so Chris and I were pointing that out. We're not Nostradamus. That is just the way that markets tend to behave. Seen it 1,000,001 times, and here's one more. So, as we sit here, well, okay, I'll get rid of the wedge now because I think it's kind of done its job. This was the overall trend channel, which we've still more or less held with a couple of, one thing you could just do is take the running parallel there, and that kind of works like that, right? So, it is one way you can do it, is just to fatten out the trend channel like that, so you don't have a trend line. You've got a channel of, the downward side of the channel sort of thing. So anyway, look, the market, the run in this is still intact, and it's made a double top here, and look at that, lucky 888. So we've got to be a little bit cautious, but we have just managed to cool the jets a little bit, which I would suggest was probably needed. I'd probably be thinking about the retracement back to here just to test this out, gather the strength before we go again. But it is a different scenario. So I think the question here is, this one's tracking now at all-time highs, right? So we're in price discovery. We don't know. There's not really a lot up here to alert us. I mean, the only thing I would look at is go, okay, well, maybe this is a one wave and a two wave. Yeah, we've come up here to what is the second highest potential for wave 3, but this is the only thing I've got at this stage. I just think, okay, well, that's an extension target from the move that goes external. But now that this has sort of stopped here, that we're going to get 1, 2, 3, we're going to get a fifth wave up. I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see. We really don't have a lot to go off, but certainly that double top there is something to pay attention to. Otherwise, can we just hold a bit of near-term sort of trend action, which is a bit fluky because we're on the hourly and we're sort of resting right on this. So, how much can you lean into that? I don't know if I could lean into it all that hard. I think for me, it'd still be about even just looking at this on a short-term base. I mean, like I said, you could probably come right back to this pivot if you, or even, I'd come back to this pivot probably, but the thing about working out which pivot to use is when you look at this, we got the retracement, okay? So we got the up. So that's why, personally, I would probably now be working off this. So that would take us back down into the $8 teens to $8 area as the next point of interest to, even just looking at this. You just look at this and go, okay, look, we had a double top here and sort of a bit of a hold here on top of the 61.8. That would be the type of zone around this $8 area, and maybe you could even fatten it out and take that into it because that gets the 50 back there. So, anywhere into here, this is where I'd be paying attention to initiate another long. But I just, I want to see it get there, see how it reacts, and then, of course, what I want to see is just the grab that is the swing structure begin to develop like that on a smaller scale, and then I'd be more confident that we can go on and get the next leg. But that remains to be seen. So look, I think I'll just leave it there this week. So we'll just see how next week pans out. There's a fair bit going on. So anyway, that's it. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week. Bye for now.